All right, good morning, folks, and welcome to Camden County College here in Blackwood. We've got a doubleheader in fall softball action between the Cougars of Camden County and the visiting Cecil Seahawks. Cecil led by head coach Chad Zierfoss, the father of Jake Zierfoss and many other prominent players out of Gloucester City. He's a very local coach here in South Jersey, but taking his talents to Rising Sun, Maryland in the northeast corner of the state and getting his action with Chip Rattano, the head coach of Camden County, and the Cougars for the Seahawks this morning. We don't have full starting lineup graphics, but we do have is full starting lineups. Layla Hopkins in center field, bats leadoff. Kalila Pace, the transfer out of Salem Community College in Pennsville, bats second and plays shortstop. Tristan Caravan is the catcher, batting fourth. Madison Fairweather will be the first baseman, batting fourth. Gianna Daughtry will be the pitcher, batting fifth, followed up by Kylie Straining in right field, Ayana Jury in left, Madison Nolan at third, Lexi Ortiz as the extra hitter, and Sasha Joshad as the second baseman. Cecil 1 and 21 in 2023. Looking for the start of a new era under Coach Zierfoss, as there is a first pitch ball upstairs. We are underway here from Blackwood. It'll be two 7-inning ball games today. We're on a beautiful Sunday afternoon. 71 degrees here at first pitch. Changeup catches the zone. It's 1-1. Camden County 9 and 18 in their prior season under Rattano. They're going to say that one's inside. They say that did not hit Hopkins, and it's 2-1. Little tapper foul, and it's 2-2. 2-2 is a swing and a miss from the pitcher Cobb, and there's one away.
I always do the bow and arrow. You want to do the arrow too?
So bring up Kalila Pace, the transfer out of the Salem Community College, the Mighty Oaks, led by Angel Rodriguez, a great coach in his own right. We've seen some masterful softball from him this past couple of years. And, you know, ever since he took over the program, he has had some incredible pulls with recruiting, being able to pull in players from the Four Corners in Arizona, Texas, some players out in the West Coast and the Midwest. And actually a very small portion of his players are actually, I don't want to say homegrown, but from the local area. There's a couple that have come around from Washington Township and some of the state's best, but mostly players from around the country. Here's a little tapper out towards first, and that'll be the rare 3-4 putout as a toss from Maldonado to Wilmot creates out number 2 here. So quick 2 outs here in the top of the first for Cecil and the Seahawks. That's a line shot foul down the left field line. Tristan Canavan, the utility player out of Dunmore High School in Throop, Pennsylvania, out of the Scranton, PA area, won a basketball state championship a few years back at Dunmore. But Cecil, located out of the northeast corner of Maryland, has a handful of players from that area, including Kalila Pace. As we said, the transfer from Salem, originally hailing out of Northeast, literally a town called Northeast, Maryland. Here's the 0-2. Little tapper off the Seahawks dugout. As the inning continues, Madison Fairweather would be next, also out of Rising Sun, Maryland. Two players from Cecil came out of Northeast High School, that being Pace and Sasha Jorstad, and then Nolan and Fairweather coming from the Rising Sun. And the thing that's rising in that first inning was the ball. That's a strikeout for Cobb, and the side is retired. 2 Ks and a weak ground ball retire the side for the Seahawks. Now Camden County will bat in the bottom of the first, no score. Back here from Blackwood, Camden County getting their first swings after a scoreless first. It'll be Isabella Boyle leading it off, followed by O'Kane and Helena Collins. There's a strike called. 0-1 to start the frame. Delario follows her in the order at 4, and then Malili, Maldonado, Griffith, Wilmot, and the pitcher Cobb in the 10 spot. Led by Chip Rattano, Cougars went 9-18 last year. We only saw these guys a handful of times. One of them was on the road at Salem when we were working for Angel Rodriguez and their wonderful crew down there. And then the earlier time in late March, there's a foul ball into the trees. Earlier time in late March of this year, we saw them versus the Colts of SUNY Orange. A doubleheader that was able to be swept by the Colts, 7-1 and 8-0 respectively. There on a very cold March evening. That one is upstairs. Boyle ahead in the count and swing and a miss. Will be strikeout number 1 for the pitcher, Gianna Daughtry. Foul back, sorry, we gotta move the camera. And it's 0-1 to O'Kane. Just joining us here early in the bottom of the first inning, no score yet. And a strike is called. That one's outside. Kane takes high. Looks like it'll be 2-2 here. And that'll be another strike called. So Daughtry picks up 2 strikeouts in as many at-bats. And that brings up Helena Collins, the sophomore out of Cherokee. Had 6 home runs in her freshman campaign, batting .580 with 50 RBIs. 32 runs scored across 27 games played and 3 stolen bases. Big swing and a miss by Collins. Camden County ripped off 4 straight wins to end their 2024 campaign, even though they did not make the Region 19 playoffs, sweeping Howard and Raritan Valley. I mean, what a way to end your season, on a 15-13 slugfest win. And in addition to that, 4 days prior, beating Howard in game 1 of their series, 12-11. But Camden County is no stranger to having these high-scoring games, and I think that, you know, community college softball in general has a lot of those high-scoring affairs, as Collins floats a single into left field. And the sophomore picks up her first hit of the fall campaign. So here is Delario now. And these two, Cecil and Camden County, were supposed to play each other in early April, but if you remember, there was maybe a 3 or 4 day span where it was just raining, wiped out a week's worth of events. And that's from the high school level all the way up to the collegiate level, because we had, at that time, we covered Rancocas Valley at Bridgewater Raritan baseball, all the way up there in Bridgewater, about an hour and a half north, on April 1st. And it was raining, but they played the game with no delay. And then I remember we had a couple games scheduled in the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, and it was 3 straight days of cancellations. Maybe a handful of games across the entire state were played. And everything got pushed back. Out-of-conference games had to be canceled because of it, to prioritize their must-do conference games. And it seems like Cecil and Camden County from last year ended up being one of those casualties, as the count is 2-1. To Delario with Malili on deck for the Cougars. Strike on the inside corner at the belt. And it's 2-2. 2 outs in the frame, thanks to back-to-back strikeouts from the pitcher Daughtry. And that'll be a tapper out towards third. This is going to be a tough play. It is not in time. It rolls over the first. And Delario picks up her hit as a cleanup hitter. This will bring up Malili with Julia Maldonado on deck for the Cougars. So 2 on and 2 out here early in this one. One of the things that I always say is a big difference between baseball and softball, besides the obvious, is that these girls play fast. You know, we did a game between GCIT and Timber Creek back in May, and even in a game that had a mid-game ceremony for the Timber Creek pitcher posting her 500th high school strikeout, even with that, the game finished in 1 hour and 25 for 7 innings. And we had one game in March between Cherry Hill West and Gloucester Catholic on the baseball side that was our longest 7-inning game ever at 3 hours and 17 minutes for 7 innings. You don't even play the 8th and 9th. It probably would have been a 4-hour affair if they had done that. And in addition, they ran out of light. It was still mid-March. Didn't have a lot of time. That one's going to be inside, and it's going to be 3-1 to Malili. But Camden County rallying early here on their home turf in Blackwood. Swing and a miss. It'll be 3-2. The defensive lineup for Cecil tonight in the infield has Fairweather at first, Caravan behind the dish, Joe Shad at second, Nolan at third. And that will leave all four to load the bases. You've got Pace, the Salem transfer at short. And then in the outfield from left to right, you've got Jury in left, Hopkins in center, and Straining in right. The base is loaded for Maldonado. Maldonado, the sophomore outfielder, pokes this one out towards second base. Got an overhand flip that's in time, and the side is retired. Camden County leaves the bases loaded after a promising start by the Seahawks, and the Cougars leave. We go to the second, scoreless here in Blackwood. We'll be right back. Back here on the top of the second from Camden County. This broadcast is brought to you by our good friends over at the Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators, also known as Dog Wrestling. Dog Wrestling will visit the Sacred Heart Church in Rock, South Jersey on Saturday, September 28th with a bell time of 7:30. Over 20 wrestlers are slated to take part in this event, including reigning champion Breaker Morant and former WWE Tag Team Specialist Tank Toland, and a special appearance by former ECW original Jim Molyneux. For more information, you can visit Dog Pro Wrestling. That's DAWG ProWrestling.com. Camden County sent 6 of their 9 batters to the plate in the first, but did not score, as Cobb delivers to the right-hander off the helmet of Fairweather out of Rising Sun, and she will make her way to first base as the first base runner for the Seahawks tonight. On a hit by pitch. Of course, an eventful week in DWB. We had 2 football games this past week. And now a throw down to second base. Going to be close. And she's out. So Fairweather, after getting hit in the head with a pitch, will get tagged in the head with the ball and is retired for out number 1 here in the second. Sharp grounder foul. So Cecil had a base runner, but it is quickly taken away. Cobb still facing the minimum here versus the pitcher Daughtry, who struck out 2 batters in her first frame, but did load the bases and did not allow any runs. So kind of a chaotic first frame for the Seahawks, but they're going to try to hang on to this one here in the second and beyond. This one is hit well out towards straightaway center. And it'll be taken in by Boyle. Out number 2. And this will bring up Kylie Straining. Straining, the freshman out of Elkton, Maryland, and Elkton High School in Cecil County. And for the past couple of seasons, she also played for Ashley Silverman, who is a current assistant here at Cecil now. You know, these guys kind of revamped their coaching staff in the past couple of years, and especially this year after their 1-21 season. Cecil had one win versus another community college out of Maryland, and then finished the season with a 16-game losing streak. 16-game losing streak and an 0-16 record in their conference. So they made some changes. They hired longtime Gloucester softball coach, or at least Gloucester assistant coach, Jake Zierfoss. I keep saying Jake Zierfoss, Chad Zierfoss. Poked out towards left. That will be Cecil's first hit of the night, rounding first and now making her way to second. The throw gets away and goes down the right field line. She's going to try to go for third. Almost ran out of gas. And Straining has a triple. And Cecil has, in a chaotic way, their first hit of the afternoon. I should say, I won't score that as a triple. That'll be a single, maybe either a single or a double, and then you throw on an error in there. But this yeah, probably a double.
We're unofficially scoring.
We're the unofficial scorers. Not that these games are really being scored anyway. I mean, we might as well be the official scorers because, well, think about it this way. I mean, you know, for games that count in the spring, yes, there are official scorers, which the de facto default scorer is always the home team's head coach or whoever is scoring the game for the home team, which is why sometimes in high school sports you get some inflated stats, because I've seen plenty of times I see a player that has a 400 batting average, and then I realize, oh, the teams that he's playing are just making a lot of errors and they're not scoring the errors. So even though it's something that should be objective, it ends up turning into a very subjective matter when the de facto scorer is not neutral and is the home team scorer. Not to say that, you know, either Camden County or Cecil is guilty of that, but I've seen in plenty of high school scenarios where coaches kind of prop up the stats of their players for the sake of recruitment or whatnot. It's one of those things where there's nothing really to police that, because you just always default to whoever's got the home book. But Jury, the left fielder, floats this one foul back behind the backstop.
Hey, let's go, Lex.
7-8-9 for the Cougars in the bottom of the second inning with Griffith, Wilmot, and the pitcher Cobb. Swing and a miss. They will throw down the first, and it is in time. Cobb picks up her third strikeout of the afternoon, and we are still scoreless, even though Straining gets herself a double E7. We'll be right back. We're through 1.5 here in Blackwood. All right, Cecil brought 4 batters to the plate in the top of the second inning, did not score. Straining hit a double E7 for Cecil's first hit of the night. Cobb still 1 above the minimum. That brings up Kayla Griffith, a 7-hitter for the Cougars. She'll be followed by Wilmot and the pitcher Cobb, who has 3 strikeouts to her name so far here in game 1. Strike call. One and two. From the right-hander, poked foul down the right field line and back into those Camden County forests. Really nice day here on campus. We have done our occasional Camden County game here and there. We covered John Scanzano and the baseball team a couple of times. Hopefully we'll be back in action this spring. Really excited for the opportunities we have and we'll be announcing in the next couple of months for DWB. A handful of Division III universities are interested in our services, including some in Pennsylvania and New York. And most of that is thanks to the word of Coach Ryan Kulik, who is the head baseball coach over at Rutgers Camden, who has gotten us in connection with some of these universities. Always a great guy to go through. But a hit by pitch by Griffith brings up Wilmot. In the top of the third for Cecil, they will bat Nolan, Ortiz, and Jorstad, which would be the 8, 9, and 10 hitters for the Seahawks.
Hey, be ready, back up, any pitch, right?
Throw into second has a little bit of a collision. Nothing too crazy there, but she does get the extra base. If you remember from the top half of the second, Fairweather got hit by a pitch in the helmet and then was thrown out attempting to advance to second. So runner on second for Camden County swings the ball away. And it's 2-2 to Wilmot. Yeah, that's a little easy to understand, especially when we're 225 feet away instead of being 400 plus away, like we are at Alcyon Park. Hold on here. Chad Zierfoss is coming out of the Cecil dugout to have a discussion with the home plate umpire. They're going to talk this one over. I'm not sure what the situation is. Couldn't hear too much of what Zierfoss said, even though we are a lot closer to the action here with our softball coverage.
I'm wondering if they're discussing the previous play where they ran into the runner.
Yeah, you can see he just signaled with his right hand. He said something about the throw down. But the issue is that the play after has already resumed.
Yeah.
So if there was a time to argue and challenge, I believe that would have been before the next pitch.
Yeah, I agree. I just can't think of anything else that it would be.
Well, yeah, I mean, he specifically motioned with his right hand. Yeah, so we think that that's something in regards to the previous play where the runner for Camden County, Griffith, was at second and there was a collision, I think maybe he was trying to argue interference. But again, I can't put the words in his mouth.
We're guessing.
That's what we're guessing. That one's going to be away, and Griffith will advance to third.
No collision on the play.
No, but I mean, that's the thing, is that, you know, like in Major League Baseball, if you're going to challenge a call, like let's say you're challenging whether the ball is, whether the runner is safe or out at first base, and you want a conference or something, you have 20 seconds to challenge it in the major leagues. Wilmot strikes out.
Yeah, baseball and football, you play the next play, you're done.
Exactly. Like, you kind of waive your right to appeal once either a certain amount of time has passed or once the next play has begun. So that's why in those situations you can't retroactively challenge a play. Swing and a miss by the pitcher, Cobb, who was a familiar sight in last year's Camden County coverage. And there is one out, Griffith on third, which would open up the scoring here tonight, or this afternoon, I should say. Although we do have plenty of DWB coverage in the coming weeks that will be at night. Tonight is not one of them. Ball outside the Cobb. Inside to Cobb.
Hey, don't worry about the 1 out of 3, all right? We got 1 out.
2 balls, 2 strikes to Cobb. We'll go back to the top of the order with Boyle. If the inning, or I should say when the inning continues, as long as there's no double play. How about that from Caravan, taking the carom and the ricochet off of the foul ball and just catching it. You see that a couple of times here and there. It's a lot harder to do, I think, in baseball, just because the ball's traveling a lot faster and it's a lot smaller. But
Yeah, absolutely.
happened with Joe Mauer once, I think it was 10 years ago, except he did it behind the back without a look. I think it was Denard Span fouled the ball off the screen and then reached out the glove, made the play. Swing and a miss. That is 5 strikeouts so far. I'm sorry, 4 strikeouts for Daughtry so far. Daughtry, the redshirt freshman, a New Jersey native, though, out of Delsea Regional and Franklinville, New Jersey. She is a transfer from Kutztown, which is NCAA Division II, an all-South Jersey pitcher for the Crusaders over at Delsea, a team that we've covered a handful of times. They're going to say that Boyle went around on that. I think she made contact with it anyway, so it's a moot point, but it's 0-1. Don't forget, on Monday, September 24th, Monday, September 23rd, which is tomorrow, we travel up to Burlington County for an out-of-conference soccer match in boys soccer between the Clearview Pioneers and Delran Bears. First kick is at 4 p.m. for Tommy Orr and the Bears. Both teams combined for 36 wins last year, with Clearview going 17-3-1, and Delran coming off of 2 state championships in its last 3 seasons. But this year without Drew Roscoe. Roscoe's the Division I soccer player over at Bucknell. It's very difficult for a New Jersey soccer player to play Division I soccer, especially just from a public school, just because of how, I mean, I say this in the nicest way possible, the product is not there. Like, if you watch California high school soccer, or really any high school soccer in the U.S., if it's just a standard public school, you're not going to see too much college action out of that outside of the Division III and Division II scene. That's a swing and a miss, and now Daughtry of Delsey is back up to 5 strikeouts as Cecil gets out of the jam after a little bit of a delay. They hold the runner Griffith on third, and through 2, the Seahawks and Cougars are tied at 0. Camden County still off the board here in the top of the third. They left a runner on after a single by Griffith. She was able to extend to third on 2 stolen bases. A little bunt, runs inside, and it's foul. O'Kane, Collins, and Delario to bat in the bottom of the third for the Cougars. And now it'll be 8, 9, and 10, the bottom half of the order for Cecil. This being Madison Nolan, the third baseman, Lexi Ortiz, the extra hitter, and Sasha Jostad. But a strikeout-heavy performance so far. 3 strikeouts for Cobb, 5 for Cecil's own Daughtry. This one's a little tapper out towards short. Collins on the backhand. She makes the throw in time. For out number 1. And this brings up the extra hitter, Lexi Ortiz. Ortiz, a freshman out of Perryville High School in Perryville, Maryland. Batted .400 this summer for the Honeygo Hurricanes, which is summer travel ball over in Perry Hall. But just a handful of sophomores on this roster. Ortiz being one of the many freshmen, but that's the thing that you have to consider when it comes to, JUCO softball, is that, I say it all the time, is that it is one of the hardest levels to coach because you don't get to build those relationships over a full 4 years. Athletes are only eligible for 2 years at a community college, even if you take a third year like what our CSJ does in their campuses with the 3+1, you can only be eligible for athletics for 2 years. This one is hit off the end of the bat and poked towards left field. O'Kane is there. Out number 2. So Nolan and Ortiz are retired. And this brings up Joe Schott, the number 10 hitter for the Seahawks, with Hopkins on deck, Pace in the hole. No score still here between the Seahawks and the Cougars here early in game 1, as a little bunt goes back and they're gonna whistle it dead, or not whistle, but call it dead for a foul ball. So used to football, so used to hearing whistles.
It's gonna make our own new sport.
Exactly.
A hybrid between football and softball.
I mean, that was basically baseball in the 1980s, was a hybrid between football and baseball, where the catchers would get trucked at the plate just for standing there. And if you remember Paul O'Neill kicking the ball with his right foot to save a run, you basically got football right there. 0-2 to Joe Schott. That one's up and away.
Wind's picking up.
Wind has been picking up a little bit. It's really been picking up since we got here, but the wind appears to be blowing out, so that might help these hitters on the offensive side of the ball. Fell away. But at the same time, like we said, you know, softball has been prone to some really high-scoring games over the years. We've seen an amazing game between Northampton and Salem, an 11-10 final. That was a very exciting game to cover. I think there were 4 or 5 home runs hit that day. And off the end of the bat again, that's a foul ball down the left field line. We'll be back in action for more baseball on Sunday, September 29th in Gloucester Township in a fall ball matchup in the men's league tournament in the SJMSBL between the Wildwood Padres and the South Jersey Spartans. That'll be a 9 a.m. start time. And again, chopped off the end of the bat and into the seating. So a handful of foul balls from Joe Schott, and she's keeping this at-bat alive. This will be the 8th pitch of the at-bat. And it will not be the last. And that one on a changeup just goes outside. Looks like count is 2 balls, 2 strikes. Another tapper foul. We're going to be at pitch number 10 here. Cobb looking to end this at-bat on a high note as it's going to be a pop-up, drop, it's a fair ball, and she's got a base hit. That's just pure grit and determination right there, working off a 10-pitch at-bat. And what looked like a weak pop-up at first turns out to be none other than an infield base hit. The second hit of the afternoon here in Game 1 for the Seahawks. And Sasha Joshad, as we said, hit 400 in the summer. Gets herself the first hit of the fall. Layla Hopkins at the dish. She struck out her first time as Kalila Pace on deck. Hopkins, not from Maryland or Jersey, but she is from Grand Island, Nebraska, and Northwest High School, which is right outside of the Omaha Metro, and kind of in the Omaha Metro, kind of relative to what Cherry Hill is to us. It's a relatively large town just outside of a major city, if that rings a bell at all. I would say that where she is in Grand Island, Nebraska is basically the Cherry Hill or the Camden. And if you want to keep it to strictly PA terms, you can say King of Prussia, Conshohocken, Darby, just large towns in that metro, with Collins hailing from Northeast High School. But hey, we saw Ella Hayes of Salem last year also coming from the Omaha area. And that's the thing, is that coaches like Zierfoss or Rodriguez or even Coach Chip Rattano, you know, they don't fly out to Omaha or Arizona or Texas to recruit these players. They come to them. And that's just because of how incredibly vast the softball travel ball scheduling is. A fly ball to deep center field, going back. It's going to be over the head. This will score a run, and Cecil's going to get a run home on the RBI double by Collins. as she gets a nice RBI double center field. And it's 1-0 Seahawks as they open up the scoring here in the top of the third. Good piece of hitting there by Collins, working with a good count and getting in the zone. Just took advantage of the sun there, got it over the center fielder's head. And Pace now bats here in the top of the third. Here comes the first pitch, Tapper to third. They're going to wave it foul. Pace 0 for 1. She grounded into the rare 3-4 put out. Although I should say it's rarer in baseball than it is in softball, just because of how much less room there is to work with in a 40-60 diamond as opposed to a 60-90. So Collins, the runner on second, after she opens up the scoring with an RBI double.
The wind is really picking up. I'm about to fly away like Mary Poppins.
Yeah, well, we do have our umbrellas to keep the equipment safe. And a little floater into shallow right field will be caught by the second baseman. And that being Wilmot to retire the side. The Seahawks open up the scoring on an RBI double by Layla Hopkins, excuse me. We'll be right back. In life, the road ahead is full of possibilities, but to navigate it safely, you need the right skills. Harper Driving School is the premier driving school serving Gloucester, Salem, and Camden counties. With experienced instructors, many of whom are teachers in local schools, we are dedicated to your success and will help you master the road with confidence. With an over 95% success rate of students passing their road test on their first try, you know your student will be in good hands while embarking on a huge step of their young adult lives, all while avoiding the lines at the DMV. In life, the road ahead is full of bottom of the third inning. Cecil gets a run on the board on an RBI double by Hopkins. Just got it over the center fielder's head and was able to drive in Joe Schott because of it. A little bunt foul. O'Kane, Collins, and Delario, 2, 3, and 4, the meat of the order for the Cougars, will bat. We've got a DWV football triple header coming up this weekend. On Thursday, September 26th, it's the Holy Cross Prep Lancers and the Riverside Rams with a very rare 5:30 p.m. kickoff. That will be over in Riverside in Central Jersey, well, not Central Jersey, but in Burlington County. And then on Friday, September 27th, we'll be right around the area again with the Egg Harbor Eagles and the Deptford Spartans from Deptford High School. That'll be a 7 p.m. kickoff. And then on Saturday the 28th, we go back to Gloucester, the home of Coach Chad Zierfoss, for a matchup between the Sterling Silver Knights and the Gloucester Catholic Rams. That's an 11 a.m. kickoff from Gloucester City High School. Remember, all Gloucester Catholic home games are played at Gloucester High, the public high school, for an 11 a.m. start. That will go through the gap of third and short, and a base hit for O'Kane, who struck out in her first at-bat. She's able to get on the board in the bottom of the third. And that is the fourth hit of the night for Camden, but still no runs on the board. They left the bases loaded in the first and then left Griffith on third after a single and 2 subsequent stolen bases.
I think this is the first runner with no outs.
And you'd be correct about that, as here's a fly ball. It's dropped at second base. This is going to get both runners across. And Collins takes advantage of a miscue in the infield. That sun is right over right field. So a miscue by Joe Schad puts 2 runners on for Delario. So everybody moves up 60 feet. And a single to start the frame, now an E4. Brings up Delario. Milili on deck. Cougars looking to get back on the board here after surrendering an RBI double to Collins in the top, excuse me, to Hopkins, I'm sorry, in the top of the 3rd. We did have a softball player at some point named Layla Collins, and that's what got me thrown off.
Yeah, I remember that name.
Two strikes to Delario. Takes a pitch high and away and sends this one back deep into the forest. Got to send an intern back out there to pick up the softball. We saw that too with baseball as well. They had to pause the game a couple of times to get more game balls or send the freshmen into the forest to pick them up. But that's JUCO athletics at its finest right there. Should be 2 balls, 2 strikes to Delario with 2 runners on and nobody out. Camden County with their best chance yet to get on the board. And they might do that right here. This is going to drop foul though. Swing and a miss. And Delario strikes out for out number 1. That is strikeout number 6 for Delsey's own Daugherty, or Daugherty. Another swing and a miss. Bat went low, ball went high for Maldonado. Maldonado batted .352 in her freshman campaign. No homers, 14 RBI, 13 runs, and 4 stolen bases. Had 11 of her 14 RBIs in conference play, along with 17 of her 22 stolen bases. And in conference play, had a .400 batting average and a .512 on base percentage, setting herself up for a slugging percentage of .998. As close to that 1 mark as you can get. But Maldonado working with, or I'm sorry, this is Milili. Maldonado on deck though. 1 away and 2 on. Like we said, Helena Collins started off the frame with a single to left field through the gap of 3rd and short, and then Collins reached on an E4. That's at least how we're scoring it. On a miscue by the second baseman, Joe Schad. Here's the pitch to Milili, swing and a miss. And make that strikeout number 7, as here is Maldonado. Of course, Camden County underwent some changes this past off-season. Athletic Director William Logan left to pursue a job, I believe, at Rutgers. But don't quote me on that, please. Inside. Of course, it was an honor to work with William for these softball games for Camden County, along with the Camden County baseball team. He was also a longtime head basketball coach over at RCSJ. Back-to-back Ks for Doherty, trying to get out of this frame. And a little tapper back in front of the mound. That is a ball. Throw to first is low, and it gets away down the right field line. This will score O'Kane, and the game is back up at 1-1 on what is going to be an E2 as another defensive miscue hurts the Seahawks. And that will put runners on the corners now with 2 away. So O'Kane scores, Collins down to third. And Maldonado now 0 for 2 after reaching on what will be scored as an E2. Brings up Griffith, who singled in her last at-bat.
Make sure we back.
Swing and a miss, and it is 0-1. Broadcast is brought to you by our good friends over at Harper Driving School. Over 95% of students who take Harper Driving School pass their New Jersey state driving test on the first attempt. If you like those odds, you can book an appointment today at Suite 4 of the Total Turf Complex in Pittman, right off of Lambs Road. Two balls, 1 strike. And another swing and a miss. If the inning continues, Wilmot will be on deck. Kind of a half swing, bloops into left field to score Collins. And an RBI single by Griffith. She's now 2 for 2. And that now makes it 2-1 Camden County. So Wilmot at the dish here, Cobb to follow. Swing and a miss. 0-1. Another swing and a miss. Fouled back again. Another one foul. No, called a strike, and that will retire the side. Camden County gets 2 runs back and takes the lead over Cecil. They now lead 2-1 over the Seahawks after 3 here in Blackwood. Garden State Pet Center is an independently owned full-service pet store. Our specialty is promoting companionship between people and animals by providing the healthiest product choices available, including all-natural foods, supplements that support and relieve health issues, and innovative products for pet parents. Our goal is to provide our customers with a relaxing environment, and while we're not striving to be the biggest store on the East Coast, we're striving to be the best. No other pet store will make you feel at home like we do. At Garden State Pet Center, we view pets as members of the family. We don't believe in fast, high-pressure sales, but instead matching up the right pet with the right owners, as you are making a lifelong commitment. Together with our team members, we would like your visit to our store to be both enjoyable and educational. Simply drop in and take a look around. View the birds, reptiles, small animals, toys, food, cages, and miscellaneous items. Learn of the services we have to offer and decide for yourself if this is the store you'd like to call your home away from home.
Victor Santucci, owner of Garden State Pet Center. Visit us today at 226 South Whitehorse Pike in Audubon, New Jersey. We're open 7 days a week for all of your pets' needs.
Camden County on the board for the first time in this doubleheader, thanks to 2 runs across 7 batters for the Cougars. It'll now be Carvin, Fairweather, and Doherty. This one is hit well in a straightaway left field. O'Kane is there. Out number 1. So 1 pitch, 1 out. Like we said, a strikeout-heavy fest for both teams tonight. 8 strikeouts for Doherty so far, despite giving up 2 runs. And Cobb with 3 total, definitely putting a lot more balls in play, but if you can put the ball in play but preserve the lead, then that certainly still is a positive. That one is outside.
Let's go, Lex. You got a kid.
Fairweather was hit by a pitch in the helmet in her last at-bat, and very shortly later was thrown out at second base. This time, though, she get on base on her own terms with a base hit in the center field, a little floater. And Fairweather, first hit of this doubleheader. Doherty now 0 for 1. Grounded out to second base her first time. This one is popped way up. This time in the center field, taken in. Out number 2. And that definitely helps with pace of play. You know, keep your batters on the toes and keep your defense from being overly tired. Is, well, put the ball in play and get the outs faster. Like we said, we're in the top of the 4th inning. Game started about an hour ago. Another first pitch fouled back off of Zierfoss and off of the Seahawks dugout. But only 1 extra base hit in this game, and that was by straining of Cecil for the Seahawks' first hit of the afternoon. A huge dropper, ends up being a swing and a miss. And now a 2-strike count against the number 6 hitter Straining, who did have that double and an E7 added at the end. Floated out towards right, towards a couple of fans sitting down there, but nothing further. Still 2 strikes. That one is smacked out towards right field, taken in on a nice little shoestring, and the inning is over. Camden County holds Cecil to just 1 runner, and they still hang on to that lead. They are up 2-1 going to the bottom. welcome back to the land of the Cougars. Here in Blackwood as Cecil trails Camden County 2-1. Big thanks to the head coaches of today's games, Chip Rattano and Chad Zierfoss, for having us out here. As wow, that one almost was caught at first by Fairweather, but just went over the fence for a foul ball, and it's 0-1. Cobb, Boyle, and O'Kane, 9-1-2 are the batters here in the bottom of the fourth for the Cougars. One's down. Two balls, two strikes. And she's retired. Strikeout number 9. And the third looking. Here's Boyle. She's got 2 strikeouts of her own. High and away by a hair. Another swing and a miss by Boyle. And for Camden County's offense, it doesn't help that their leadoff hitter is 0 for 2 with 2 strikeouts, but you know, the rest of the order has been chipping in their 2 cents and then some. So look, it's still fall softball, still early, and plenty of time for people to develop early on in the season. Boyle, the native of Berlin, New Jersey, there's a strike called. Batted .368 in her freshman year, 16 RBIs, no homers, but 22 stolen bases. 15 of those came in conference play. And had an OPS of 883. A foul tip, and Boyle is retired. Make that 10 Ks. And there's out number 2. And that's one of those things that, you know, especially if this was a conference game or a game that had a lot more weight to it, would definitely play a toll. Because think about it this way, you know, you're in the lead and your team relies on you to get on base, and, you know, the stat line reads 0 for 3, 3 strikeouts. At least here, it's a lot more low stakes and it's more of an exhibition. But, you know, a great thing about softball and a great thing about both of these teams is that these players have been trained with the mindset to be a team player. And you can't let those individual stats or hardships, you know, affect your play. You know, because the rest of the team has basically lifted themselves up to get those 2 runs across. And a little fly ball in the shallow right. It's going to drop. She's going to get down to second base. The throw will not be beat. And O'Kane picks up kind of a convoluted double in a cloud of smoke, and that will bring up Collins now with 2 away. And now a runner in scoring position for the Cougars.
Come on, kid, bring her home.
Like we said, Collins, 6 home runs in her freshman campaign. Excited to see what she can work with as a power hitter after a full season of play. Collins won Player of the Week in the second week of April in regards to NJCAA Region 19. The freshman at that time hit for a 767 average in mid-April with 7 doubles and 19 RBI. Strike called. Two balls, 2 strikes to Collins.
2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs, and a man on second. That's a lot of twos.
That one is hit well in the left field, but foul.
You put a porta potty.
Two balls, 2 strikes to Collins, and that one is floated into the infield. The sun plays a role, but not enough to let that one drop. It stays up long enough for out number 3, and we are through 4 here in Blackwood. 2-1 Cougars. First pitch of the top of the 5th is a bunt single for the Seahawks. And Jury gets aboard to set up Nolan. Another bunt. So this is kind of the Cecil strategy now, you know, you just lay one down, see where it goes. You know, bunts are, I mean, you don't have to be too, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure out that bunts are a lot more successful in softball just because of the speed of these players and how far you've got to run to get to first base. It's a lot shorter of a distance, but again, like I said, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure that one out. There's another one back in the infield. She's safe there. Now they're going to send her down to third. The throw beats her, but the throw is also 5 feet off the bag. And that will be not only an infield single for Nolan, but that puts runners on the corners for the Seahawks. So kind of crazy all over the place. And Zierfoss having a quick chat with Ortiz, the extra hitter. Strike called. They send the runner down to second. She'll get in there uncontested. So 2 runners in scoring position for the Seahawks. They're going to try to make this work. They're going to call dead ball. That's going to be a shot through the left side. That'll be a base hit. That's going to bring home 1 run. The second run is going to be safe. She gets in there. Nolan scores. And that is a 2-run double for Ortiz. And Cecil has put themselves in front, and it's 3-2 here in the top of the 5th. So now Chip Bertano coming out after 3 straight hits and now 2 runs surrendered to the Seahawks. And not only has the lead been surrendered, but a little bit of confidence out on the mound. They will make a pitching change. This will be number 5, Urbina, to pitch for the Cougars. So we'll take a quick break as Cecil gets together a rally in the top of the 5th inning. They score twice, and now the southpaw comes on in relief for the Cougars. We'll be right back. All right, pitching change. Urbina in for Camden County. As the southpaw throws that one wide. 1-0. Cecil has started off the 5th with 3 straight hits, back-to-back singles by Nolan and Ortiz, or excuse me, Nolan and Jury. And Ortiz followed that one up with a 2-run double down the right field line. That made it 3-2 in favor of Cecil. goes to the backstop, and Ortiz now trots over third. So she moves up 60 feet. That'll be ball 4. And Urbina surrenders a walk. 4 straight base runners for the Seahawks.
Hey, watch the 2-1-2.
A bunt now. They're going to throw behind the runner. And some more base running chicanery is getting down to second is Joshad. And Collins, who drove in the first run of the night for the Seahawks, now bats with 2 runners in scoring position. Now we've got more trouble. Run scores, 4-2. That was just trouble on getting the ball back into the infield. And some heads-up base running gets Cecil their 3rd run of the frame. Scoring Ortiz, sending Joshad to 3rd. I mean, obviously you want to rest your pitchers with Cobb and the rest of them. But Cecil puts up a 3 spot here in the 6th. That one gets away. This is about to be a 4 spot, and she will score. Joshad gets a run home for the Seahawks. And they lead 5-2. That'll be another walk. We'll wait to see if Chip Rattano comes out of the dugout here. Looks like he'll stay put for now. But again, this is, you know, relatively low stakes scenario. It's a matter of basically your spring training, except you're in September. You know, you're training these pitchers, especially the freshmen and the new ones to come along. You know, it's relatively simple. You know, the runs on the scoreboard don't matter. They don't matter to the point where the scoreboard here in front of us isn't even on. But that's the thing, is that, you know, this is about training your pitchers and getting people ready for the season when the games do matter in March and April and so forth. So with Pace at the dish, she's 0 for 2 with a pop out and a ground out. Now sends this one back to 3rd. They'll throw a second for the out. And finally, after 5 straight batters reached base, Camden County records an out on a 6-4 fielder's choice. And here's Caravan. Strikeout and a fly out to left. After the fielder's choice, got a runner on first with 1 down. That one goes to the backstop. Pace to second, and she'll hold up there. That one's high. That one's outside. Definitely dealing with some control issues. So now runners on second and first. And now just a quick meeting with Rutano. Outside. That one is high, goes to the backstop. Both runners will advance. And now even in a better position to open up this game. And basically the word from the teammates to Urbina is just, calm down a little bit and, as we like to say now, lock in. Just focus, do what you got to do. Here's a fly ball in the right field. It is caught. Runner's going to tag. The throw from shallow right comes in. It's blocked. Now a second run is coming in. The throw is high, and a somersault over the plate. Cecil gets 2 runs on a sacrifice fly. Zierfoss just coming out to make sure that she is okay because she kind of flew into home plate, and a 5 spot makes it 7-2 on a sac fly, but it does clear the bases, and it does make out number 2 in this frame. So here is straining. With this, the entire 10-person order in this Cecil lineup will have batted. I think maybe Urbina needed that clearing to just kind of reset everything and let things go back to normal. Sometimes you need a little bit of encouragement out there, as this will be a ground ball to third. One hopper gets away. That throw traps itself in the right field corner. She'll stop at second. And that will be 5 on the missed throw. And now this will be the 11th batter of the inning, that being Jury, which is who started this whole jumble with a single.
This inning seems to have really taken the wind out of the sails for the girls.
I mean, yeah, and also, they made that pitching change. And like I said, this is a very low-stakes game, and considering this is an exhibition, their first fall game of the season, and a base hit into center field. This one's going to bring home another run to make this a 7-run frame for the Seahawks and make it 8-2 in favor of Cecil. But in this kind of scenario, it's less about winning and losing, just like how, the Phillies or the Yankees or Mets or Orioles, whoever, in spring training in February and March. Yeah, it's nice to win games, but you're more concerned about the development of the players and making sure that they're prepared and ready for when the games actually do count in the standings and when you're playing these guys for real. So, this is your exhibition period. This is what I like about fall softball and fall baseball in general, is that it's, it's very low key, and these guys are having a good time while they're at it. And the good thing is that both teams have jersey numbers, because that is not always a constant. Wasn't a constant last year with Salem. So I'm glad that we're able to have that plus for us tonight. That one's outside. Throw down to second base. It didn't really slide in there, but she got in anyway. That'll be ball 4. To batter number 12, Nolan. But Camden County, of course, as is the constant in all softball games, will have this same opportunity in the bottom half of the frame. That goes to the backstop. Runner advances to third and second. That throw has trouble in the infield, but you got to remember, I mean, Cecil was 1-21 last year, and they've basically turned their roster over, coaches included. So you kind of can't see the scoreboard right now and you know, think of those in a relative way. As that was a strike.
Hey, 2 outs on contact, right? 2 outs on contact.
2 outs, just trying to get out of this frame. That one's going to be a ball. For another walk. This will bring it batter number 13 with Ortiz, who started off the scoring in this frame with a 2-run double. And the bases are loaded for the first time in this inning. That's kind of hard to believe, but this is the first time in the inning that the bases have been loaded, just because up until recently, Cecil's been putting the barrel to the ball and seeing these guys pretty clearly. And then, you know, once those walks started to unravel, then that's when they just kind of stopped swinging. That one's high. That goes to the backstop. 8 runs for Cecil, and it's 9-2. Those runners move up 60 feet. Gets a strike in there. There's another strike. Down to 2 strikes now. 2-2. Actually, I'm sorry, that was 3-2, and it is ball 4. Three straight walks for Urbina. So here is Joe Schad. As a part of an 8-run frame, Cecil went from being down. I mean, this game got turned on its head. It was lightning fast. It was good defense on both sides, and then Cecil put up an 8 spot to really shake things up here. That one is outside, but Urbina has walked 3 straight. And they made the pitching change to substitute Cobb out and put in Urbina, you know, mostly for training's sake. I mean, I'm just asking Blue, throw her a bone or something. I mean, that was pretty good. This is going to make it a 9-run inning on another wild pitch. And that's double digits for Cecil. And, if you're Chip Bertano, you got to have a reassuring kind of pep talk to the girls at the end of the inning when these guys go to bat. Ignore the scoreboard. Consider that you guys can still fight back in this game and that you've got an entire game 2 to play for things to be very different. But that is 4 straight walks and another one to load the bases. But no bases loaded walks yet because a run scored on a wild pitch beforehand. They threw behind the runner at third. She's safe. But we're back at the top for Hopkins. Strike called.
Hey, 2 outs on contact. Gotta go on contact. 2 outs. Hey, see you scoring that.
Upstairs. Another throw. It hits the runner. That hit the runner right in the back. And she's all right. A couple chuckles from the Seahawks dugout.
Hey, 2 outs on contact.
We've been hearing that a lot. 2 outs on contact. And this is a bases loaded walk. And you could put that one in the books for a 10-run frame. The last time we had one of those was Pingree and Paul Sixth back in May, where PVI scored 11 runs. But I think the funny part about that inning was that Paul Sixth didn't walk at all in that inning. Sean Taylor had a grand slam, and a couple of other players got RBI doubles and whatnot. And that was it. But it is 11-2. And Cecil, which went into this inning down 1, now leads substantially. Another one. I guess they're going to let her finish the inning. The thing that I'm concerned about is that the second out was recorded 9 batters ago. We started off the inning with 2 singles, a 2-run double by Ortiz, and then 2 walks. A fielder's choice by Pace was the first out of the inning. And then Daughtry brought home 2 with a 2-run sacrifice fly. And then with that, Straining reached on an error. And that's where this inning, I should say, that's where this game has really unraveled. 6 straight walks. The last time that a Cecil batter has made contact and put the ball in play was the E5 by Straining. And now all you have after this is Carvin. Carvin, Fairweather, and Daughtry are the only ones that separate that. And that's going to be 7. And another run, 13-2. Here comes Chip Bertano. And he will take Urbina out of the game. Or I guess not. You know what? I think what it was is that was his first. That might have been his first mound visit. I don't think it was.
He took the ball like he was going to take
He
her out.
took the ball and she walked towards the dugout and then he
But he
handed it.
looked back like there was nobody there and he was expecting.
Well, no, he looked back and then the umpire motioned something that basically was akin to keeping her in the game.
Huh. Interesting.
Time's going to be called here and they are going to end the inning prematurely. So I think that was a run rule thing. They just decided to reset and end the inning. So after 12 runs come across, Cecil goes from being down 1 to being up 11. And they are surely quite excited about it. They lead 13-2. All right, bottom of the 5th inning. Delario getting it started for the Cougars after a substantial 12-run inning by Cecil. They went into it down 1. They were down 2-1, and this game was looking like it was going to be a breeze, or at least a good pitcher's duel, and then they made one pitching change, and the rest is history. Cecil, before the inning ended prematurely, as here's a pop-up to second. That's caught by Doshad, one away. Before the inning ended prematurely, Camden County had surrendered 7 straight walks, and they had allowed 10 straight base runners. They basically were about to bat around without recording an out. That's a chopper over the middle. Through a first is in time. Out number 2. We should note that there is a new pitcher in for Cecil, and that is number 8, Ayanna Jury, who has moved from left field to the mound. So 10 strikeouts is the final line for Daughtry tonight. A great performance. As there's a strike called. Maldonado might be the last chance here. Not sure if they're going to play because I'm not sure if they're going to do a mercy rule here, if they're just going to play all 7. Inside. Griffith will follow Maldonado in the order. Two balls, 2 strikes to Maldonado. Throw over to first is in time, and the inning is over. So I think they're going to play the 6th. We'll see if Cecil takes the field again. We're just going to stay on air for a second. Well, there's a couple of Camden County players that just went to the side of the dugout. Yeah, it looks like the game might be over because the umps are just walking off the field, and they're going to call it at a 5-inning mercy rule because Camden County they just put a bunch of balls on home plate. So the final in game 1 is Cecil 13, Camden 2. The 11-run inning in the 5th is the nail in the coffin, and we'll be back in 20 or 30 minutes for game 2 here on Dan Wilkins Broadcasting.